illusion, just to get a glimpse beyond this illusion. All right, what's up, guys? Back here. Is this number 6?
This is number 7.
Seven.
We haven't done one of these in a while.
Is AceTech
Yeah, it's been like months. Yep, Eugene's in the house. AceTechHD. We got Matt Beef Lundgren, and then you got me, Mitch, here, and we're back doing our podcast again. Hopefully, more frequently
More
now.
consistently.
Yeah,
more consistently.
we've been kind of busy though, doing stuff, other things.
Yeah.
Yep. We got a few things to announce, guys.
Yep. We can go ahead and.
Okay,
Deadpool is done.
That was too loud. Okay. All right. So many of you who know, many of you who watch our podcast, who watch our videos, whatever, will know that over the past 2 months, since January, we have been deciding to unleash our full variety and more frequency of content. We've added a few changes to a few different things. We're now uploading gameplay videos, I believe, once every day. We usually don't miss a day. Mitch is adding more content to the channel. We're doing different varieties of shows, and more are to come. And our biggest announcement is, and if you saw our documentary, you saw that we announced this. A few months ago, we announced that we are going to be doing a short film. And we had originally announced that we were going to be doing one in 2017, and we have decided we're not going to do the 2017 one anymore. We're just going to do short films more consistently whenever. And our first one that's going to be coming out is going to be Dead Owl. We've already announced this a while ago. We actually already have our trailer, our teaser trailer, mind it, already up on our channel. It's got a few hundred views so far from every place that we've posted it. AceTechHD, it's on Eugene's channel. It's been getting a lot of great reception so far from everybody who's seen it. It's been passed around like crazy. We hit a few hundred views on it within the first few hours, and it was incredible. It was incredible.
Thanks everybody who shared it.
And the biggest thing to me is that in the past 2 months, we have gotten probably 600 or 700 views just in the past 1.5 months or 2 months now, actually. Alone just because of the more diverse content that we have added to the channel, and more content that we've added to the channel. So we're really happy about that. We're proud of it, and we can't thank you guys enough. Thank you for watching our content. We're going to be bringing out a lot more. We have an anime review and kind of talk show coming out within the next month or two. Our current show talking about hidden gems and forgotten movies called Underappreciated. That's been doing pretty well. We have 2 episodes of that out right now. We're going to get back into releasing those on Fridays pretty soon again. And we have our gameplay videos, which are more consistent than ever, and they're absolutely awesome. I love what we're doing so far with that. And we have more to come. Mitch, did you want to talk about your show that you have currently going on?
Yeah, right now. Oh, by the way, short film is coming March 18th, so make sure that you mark your calendars for that. March 18th we're pretty firm on that. Yes, March 18th. But yeah, I've been doing a Fable 2 playthrough, which has been pretty great. A pretty classic 360 game, and I've been playing through. It's been a lot of fun, and I hope to continue on with Fable 3. I'm going to be looking at that, but I hope people are enjoying it because there's a lot of nostalgia with that game. I played it a lot when I was a kid, but that's what mostly I've been doing, and I've been starting to do some BioShock recording on my PC, trying to get that figured out, but probably going to start a BioShock show here pretty soon. What about you, Eugene? What have you been up to?
Been pretty busy, but whenever I get the chance, play some Wii U, enjoy gaming. Been putting some videos together as well for the channel. I'm working on a short film. I'm writing a script for a short film for the channel as well. So.
Oh yeah, about our shooting in town, right? You're gonna do a spin on it. Yeah.
I am going to.
Yeah, in case you guys didn't know, we actually live in the city that is like a butt fuck right next to Kalamazoo. We live in Portage.
Yeah, we live in Portage, which is pretty much like inside of Kalamazoo.
Oh yeah, it's
Kalamazoo County.
Yeah, I know actually quite a few people who not only witnessed the event, but I know a few things. I'm not going to talk about it because obviously
it's not anonymous. But You guys have probably, if who's ever watching it, you've probably seen it on the news. It made national news. It was a pretty bad incident, but Eugene is taking that incident and trying to put like a unique little spin on it and kind of turn into like like a thriller or something, or like a.
Yeah, I was thinking like a thriller.
It's still in very early development, so whatever you guys are thinking of it right now, it could definitely change over the course of the next couple months, maybe. Like Eugene said, he had told me it's still in early development. We're going to be working all the kinks. We're going to be making sure that this is a very firm, fine film. I mean, the topic like this is very vital. It's very interesting. So there definitely is a very good story behind this, and we can definitely
also have to be
great.
The other thing is you have to be careful with how you do it because it's very and it has to be time between when we release it because it's still a tender subject even now.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to put some space between it. But I think that if you do it well,
definitely I was thinking of it being a bit longer, like maybe around 20 minutes. So yeah, it will be a while before we even see any trailer for it or we release anything official.
Yeah, but I think if you do it well, it could be interesting how you can put a spin on it. But Deadpool, yay or nay, guys? Did you see it? Did you like it?
I saw Deadpool 3 times within the first week. First time I saw it on opening day, the very first showing in our town in IMAX, which I loved it. It was phenomenal, funniest movie I've seen in quite a long time, and I will go ahead and say it's one of the best superhero movies of all time. I gave the movie a 10 out of 10. I mean, easily deserved it for me, met my expectations and exceeded them. I loved that movie so much. It was perfect in every way for me. I saw it with my parents on that Sunday, and then I saw it on that Wednesday. I took a girl out for a date to go see it.
They definitely used the background of Deadpool very well. They didn't try and hold back or try to censor him in any way, which I liked. They gave the fans what they wanted to see in a Deadpool movie. They didn't try to clean it up so they could get everybody in to see it. They didn't try to make it a PG-13. They made it a pretty solid R-rated movie, which is what a lot of fans want. I think in that respect, that's why people appreciated it so much, is because they didn't try to censor it up to make it, available for everybody,
Which is what Deadpool needed. We needed an R-rated movie that could prove they could not only be a good movie, but also financially do well. And it went far beyond. It actually became the highest-grossing R-rated movie of all time, which was far beyond what a lot of people were initially expecting.
Yeah.
Nobody even predicted it was going to make over $100 million in its opening weekend, which it did, and blew people away. I believe it made somewhere around $130 million opening weekend domestically, and that was phenomenal. I mean, it was incredible how much that it made.
I can tell you that they were pushing. They were really advertising it really.
Oh yeah, its marketing campaign is one of the best it's ever been, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, when I was working at I was working at a movie theater, and they had Deadpool stuff all over, the cups and some of the popcorn bags.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting how well it did because, people tried to smear it pretty hard. There's a pretty big smear campaign against the movie, I mean, it was in a way to protect the kids, but still, that's still not good publicity to have. People are saying, don't go see this movie. It's, it's not good. It's not a family movie, all this sort of thing. And it was getting smeared pretty hard, and people didn't want to see it. And I think in that respect, it did very well for the fact that it had so much going against it.
Actually, how I see it is, obviously, if it had been a family movie, if it had been PG-13, I honestly think it wouldn't have done as well. But I mean, you never know, because there has been talks for a while as to what they were going to do it. And I've seen a PG and a PG-13 version of Deadpool, and Deadpool overall, in my opinion, is a phenomenal character. There are multiple different ways that you can do him, and in whatever format, and he still works. He still has that personality, likability. He still has that edginess, and that. Just that craziness, that overall charisma that character has, even in any version of him, whether it's dark, hard R, or a light, fun-loving, PG or PG-13 kind of character.
Yeah, the way I just found it.
Oh, you go ahead, Eugene.
Is you have your PG-13 movies, you have your PG movies, and then you have your rated R movies. And I feel like maybe they should focus on making PG-13 movies most of the time, but then every once in a while have a rated R movie for those older audiences.
Yeah, and I think it was just really ballsy of Marvel to release an R-rated movie because they're going to put a bunch of money into this and they expect it to have huge returns, and I think just in terms to stay within that sort of like formula of making these movies that are kind of adult but they still appeal to kids, PG-13 is a good place for them to be because they can get the largest demographic of people into their theater. So I think it's really ballsy of them to just release this, very, it's pretty adult, and I think it's very ballsy of them to do it. But I think in the end it paid off very well because people appreciated the fact that they didn't try to clean it up. They didn't try to.
I haven't seen it, but I think it is a really good idea for them to cater to a different audience once in a while. Like this is really not too much, in general, but Nintendo, usually they make family-friendly games, but they decided to publish Bayonetta 2.
Yeah,
exactly.
Something different. That
they need that diverse demographic. I mean, like Xbox and PS4 can get away with it because of the consistency of how good their games usually are, and the fact that they've been publishing more AAA titles than ever. I mean, we talked about it before that there are no independent games really anymore on the next-gen consoles. But I think that one of the reasons they were able to get away with having so many M-rated games is because of their likability and who they appeal to. Like Xbox One appeals to being an all-in-one system, so they can get away with having that hard M titles. PS4 also the same is more marketing towards that whole video, mature video game and storytelling sort of aspect, so they can get away with having those M-rated games.
I look at Halo 5, which is
true,
rated T rating, and with Nintendo, they usually focus on making their games accessible to everyone. With Smash Brothers, they brought it down from T to E10 and up, and they want to promote more risque stuff and more violent stuff, things that appeal to older gamers. So they did Bayonetta 2, they did Devil's Third, even though the game may have flopped. And I see the same thing with Marvel. They want to appeal to younger people with the Ant-Man type stuff, the Avengers, and all those other films.
That's the thing. That's the thing that I thought about, actually. I've thought about this a lot. If you actually take a look at our current superhero movies, they're actually not that lighthearted. I mean, you have some of them that are lighthearted, like the Avengers. I would say is probably the most lighthearted one in a long time. After that, though, I mean, if you really take a look at them really deeply, there are actually a lot of complex storylines, plot lines. There's a lot of depth. There's a lot of darkness. If you actually and with the current Marvel movies, they're more meant to appeal to everyone. But the way in which that they do it makes it more appealing for parents to be able to show their kids. The way that they go about it, it's actually become more of an art craft. I mean, you think about it, we're getting 2, 3, 4, or 5, even 5 superhero movies a year. I believe this year alone we're getting like 4 or 5. We got Avengers Civil War. We got Marvel Captain America Civil War. We've got Batman vs Superman. Deadpool, X-Men Apocalypse, and then we got Doctor Strange, I believe, at the end of the year. Then Suicide Squad. We've also got that. So I believe in total there's actually 7. I might be missing a few.
I just hope that they don't try to milk this too much. Like, once you make a couple that are successful, you're gonna all right, this worked. This is working. People are enjoying this. But you have to be careful to not turn it into a system where you're like, oh, that worked and this didn't. Let's just write the same movie every time with different characters,
That's what I was saying, cater to different audiences at different times, Make the PG-13 movies so people can get in and watch those, and then every once in a while release a movie like Deadpool where it's rated R and more adults can go and watch that stuff and feel,
Yeah, by no means did Deadpool not make a lot of money. I mean, the way you guys are kind of looking at it is, if you actually didn't know, Deadpool made more money than most of the first Marvel movies for the first Avengers characters. Like, it made more money than the first Iron Man, the second Iron Man. It made more money than Man of Steel. It made more money than Thor, Captain America. It made more money than all of them.
I'm not surprised about Man of Steel.
I'm not surprised either.
Do you remember that, Matt? I'd say it every single time. Remember the start when they're like panning up? They're panning up his body, and they just show his dick, a baby's cock, on the screen, and I'm just like, all right, I guess he does have a dick. They settled the argument, but I didn't need to see it on like a 500-foot long screen in front of my face.
settled the argument because that's totally what everybody's been wondering for years.
Like,
does he have a dick? Or is he like the Avatar weirdos where it's just like this giant long ponytail with like tentacles coming out of it?
And he just plugs into things.
A plug in.
All right.
Oh, I can't do it because we don't have the same thing. Where's your ponytail? Come on.
Okay.
Last thoughts on Deadpool? Any last thoughts? No?
10 out of 10. I loved it.
I liked it too.
I'm definitely probably going to check it out on Blu-ray. So
now Quantum Break.
Quantum Break's now on PC. That's been quite a bit of a stir in the gaming community.
I don't know anything about Quantum Break other than it's a game and it has one of the Ashmores.
Quantum Break is made by I think it's Remedy. They made games like Alan Wake, and they made
Alan Wake is an amazing game.
And they made like the Max Payne series.
Never played them.
Those are good. Max Payne 3 was really good. But yeah, so they've been making those, and from what I've been reading about it, like people like the gameplay, like the actual gameplay in it, but there's a thing where you'll randomly hit like these they're like episodic cutscenes where they can last like 10 or 15 minutes in the middle of the game to try and, I guess, help build the narrative around it. And I've read some reviewers saying that when this game was in development, they were it was at the time when Xbox was considering themselves, or with the Xbox One was going to be like the center of entertainment, when they're trying to push the whole like, this is an all-in-one entertainment console, like you TV, games, everything right here. And then the next year, and they were trying to develop a game like that, but then Xbox kind of dropped that whole thing, and then Remedy didn't have, they couldn't just drop their game, so they kept everything the same. So people like it, but, now it's on PC and Xbox One, maybe they'll be able to get more fans, but for the most part, I think it's just that people don't want to be in the middle of a game and then get hit with a 20-minute cutscene they have to sit through.
I think
I think those games can still be successful. If you take a look at Metal Gear Solid 4, and it's been quite a few years since the game. Metal Gear Solid 4 is the majority, probably has around 10 hours of cutscene in the entire game. You go on, you play maybe like a few minutes of gameplay, and then it's a cutscene for the next 10 to 20 minutes. Some of them maybe go on for 45.
I couldn't do that.
The reason why it's able to be done is because of how cinematic they are. Metal Gear Solid 4 standalone is an amazing story, and it's amazingly well done with its cutscenes. It looks amazing, so that's why they're able to do it with Metal Gear Solid 4.
I don't know if I'm just not a big Metal Gear Solid fan, but like even when I was playing Phantom Pain, like it took so long to get through into the game. Like it looked great and it was really interesting, but it was just very hard for me to really get into it because it felt like it started to drag on after a while.
Oh.
And I don't like. It's great, and I know, and it's an hour and a half, right? The whole thing, like it's a pretty good a chunk of time it takes for you.
Oh, just for the prologue? For the prologue, I believe it took me about an hour to.
Yeah, so it's like an hour and a half, depending on the kind of gamer you are. But I mean, it's cool, it's interesting, it's very different than any other game out there. Like it's a very interesting narrative it presents, and it's interestingly done. It's almost like you're watching a movie, which I think is the intent, but it's just not for me, I don't think, and that's one thing with Quantum Break as well. It's kind of deterring me from playing is because I don't. If I'm right in the middle of something, and like some big event happens in the game, I want to keep playing, right? I don't want to get hit with something where I just sit and watch. I think that's a hard thing, and in some cases maybe you can put them together if it's really well done, but I think it's hard to do well unless it's an interactive cutscene, which will then keep people interested. If you're actively doing things while it's going on, that might help, but I don't know.
That can work sometimes, but what I don't want is like, what are those quick time events? I don't like those.
Oh yeah.
Nobody likes quick time.
Whoever thought of those? Those are always in the Lara Croft games.
Not the older ones.
Like the newer ones, though. The newer ones, there's like how many of those can we put in like the first 20 minutes where you're like climbing up?
I just think that there's a shit. I don't even like the new Tomb Raider games. I thought that they were okay. I don't like Rise of Tomb Raider that much.
Isn't the newest one supposed to be pretty good that just came out?
Everybody says that it's so amazing, but that's like the critics. I'm just sitting there. I'm like, oh my god, well, good for you.
They've been milking that fucking series forever.
It's when they made the switch over to this new realistic Lara Croft. She's no longer fighting dinosaurs anymore. Now it's just people. What?
And guess what? She never gets hurt. She can jump 40 miles down to the ground and she'll be fine.
You know, I think they're trying to cater to the Uncharted fans.
Yeah, they are,
for sure.
Uncharted is so much better.
Well, yeah, but you look at this. You know, you look at them both, and they're very, similar in some aspects.
Yeah. Oh, this isn't. You played the Division beta, right, Matt?
Oh, I loved it. I played that.
You loved it? Yeah. I just want to talk about that because I remember. I think not in alpha, people were talking about how they didn't like it. You know, a lot of the alpha testers were saying there's bad rep all around it, and they're like, it's not going to work. They're trying to be too much like Destiny. It's stupid. But I mean, I played. Yeah, I saw some guy say it was like Destiny, and I was like, what are you talking about? But I played it on PC. Matt played it on Xbox One, and did it handle pretty well on the Xbox One? Did it look pretty good?
I think it actually handled pretty damn well. My major gripes were actually kind of minor gripes, to be honest. Like there's some kind of glitches in it. There's some clipping errors a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't like some of the mechanics. It feels a little clunky for a multiplayer game because of how much it wants to be a realistic and RPG kind of an element in its single player, but when it transitions over into multiplayer, RPG elements of a game don't transfer that well into a multiplayer that is supposed to be fast-paced, like with guns and firefights and all that sort of stuff, because you're realistically trying to patch yourself up, heal yourself, cock your gun, reload it, sight the system.
Yeah, like definitely when I was playing it on PC, you could tell it was beta because there was times where like whole rooms wouldn't even render properly for me, so it was still pretty early. But other than that, the mechanics were good. I didn't when I first went into it, I didn't like it that much, but once I put some time into it, it's pretty fun, especially the PvP, which is separated from like the RPG aspect. So you can be by yourself in like a normal game and play through it, do the quests and everything by yourself, or you can do it with a squad of friends, or you can move into this other area, which is called the Dark Zone, I think, and you move into there, and then it's PvP the whole time, and you can kill other players, but if you do that, you get deemed, it's called going rogue, and once you go rogue, you get marked on the map, and then everybody just tries to kill you because you've been marked like the dick of the lobby, and nobody wants to mess with you because like the whole objective of going into the Dark Zone is that there's enemies that carry like better weapons, and if you kill them, you can take that loot and then extract it out, and then you can use it in the single player part. So really, the idea of Dark Zone is to go in there and get better weapons to then leave and continue with the main story.
Oh, that sounds in depth for a multiplayer shooter.
Yeah. It worked pretty well, actually. Like at first, I was like, I don't know, but it's kind of cool. It's fun, and you can just go back and forth whenever you want, and it's pretty seamless. Like it isn't like you're not waiting for a match to start. You just drop right in, and people are already in there, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, my biggest problem about the multiplayer aspect wasn't actually all the other stuff. It was the aspect of going rogue. I thought that too many people would go rogue too often. I thought that there should be some kind of element in the game that wants to deter people from going rogue, but if you manage to make it going rogue, it has a huge payoff. But you shouldn't ever really want to go rogue unless you really want it. So I felt that the punishment should have been harder, it should have been harder on a player that goes rogue, but shouldn't have been it shouldn't have been in a way where if you die and you go rogue, you lose experience and you go down levels. That I didn't like at all. That I thought was really stupid. I thought that was a very botched way of a penalty for somebody that goes rogue. What I was thinking maybe is that maybe you're not allowed to I don't know, go back into multiplayer for like a few minutes, or maybe maybe you're not allowed to go rogue for a certain amount of time.
Yeah, and there was a timer where like if you went rogue.
Yeah, a respawn timer. It's a respawn.
Yeah, like the respawn timer was a lot longer. I guess that is true. But there was no real tangible advantage to going rogue beyond trying to steal somebody else's loot. Like it wasn't like if you went rogue, like there wasn't. Most people probably wouldn't do it because there isn't much of an advantage. You're pretty much putting a target on your head. So I don't know. Like if you did it, then everybody knows where you are. They're all gonna try to kill you because they don't you're not cool. You're not there to help. You're there to be a dick and try and take people's shit. You know, so.
I just thought that with an element like that, you put it in the game, yet you make it in a way where you don't want people to do it. I just felt so confused. It's just like, wait, you want them to do it, but you don't want them to do it. What I think is that there should be a lobby in the game that that takes out friendly fire. So basically, you know, you can't shoot other people, so that way you can experience the full fun of just having the dark zone without, you know, worried that somebody's going to shoot you in the back. I just felt that was one of the most annoying things, because you get in there and then I'd come up with there would be a squad behind me and I didn't know if they were going to betray me. Then I get fucking betrayed and they take my shit.
Yeah, overall though, Division, I liked it. The beta was great. Everything felt pretty well balanced, like weapon-wise already going into the beta. Like nothing seemed super overpowered. Everything was pretty well balanced, and weapons have levels, and the customization system is pretty great. You can pretty much mod your whole weapon. But you just get a little taste. Looks like there's a lot you can do in that game. You get a home base and you have to build it up, and you know it looks pretty great. So I mean, I think I'm probably gonna get it. It looked pretty awesome. What about you, Matt? Did you like it? Do you think you're gonna get it? Or?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I'm definitely gonna get it. I don't know if I'm gonna get it on day one. I would like to, but you know I have other stuff that I want to get as well. So I might get it on day one. I don't know. I haven't decided yet, but I definitely am going to buy it. I will say that.
All right. So what now, Eugene? Is it Street Fighter?
Street Fighter 5. That's coming. It's on PS4 and PC.
Yeah. What's up with that? Why are people? Why does it suck so much? Why does it suck so much?
I mean, Street Fighter's always been garbage. I'll say that.
It came out with missing features. Like there's no arcade mode. The story mode is half baked. It's very short. It's
Wait.
missing.
So it released without a whole entire mode?
They released it, you know, just to get it to. What I heard is that they were trying to release it to the tournament players, so that way they could get it into the circuits.
That's why.
So they released it. So what? They released it like half done, and they're gonna patch the rest of it in.
Yeah, full price, not full price, half done. There's only a multiplayer element of the game. There's like a shitty. Apparently, there's a really, really, really shitty single player in the game with like really shitty concept art for the cutscenes.
Yeah.
So, like, what you're saying is that they were more concerned about getting their game on the tournament circuit than they were about their fan base?
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like a good thing.
And the online was broken day one as well. So.
That's not good. Come on, Street Fighter, step your game up.
I also heard that overall the game's not as fun as the last one. I've heard some positive things about the gameplay, but I've heard overall like how it plays isn't better than some of the previous games.
Yeah, I played it on PS4. It's pretty tight. Gameplay-wise, I can't actually say that it works or has much content.
Well, isn't this like what this game has been 8 years in the making now, or right? Between 4 and 5.
It's probably between 4 and 3.
But I mean, like between 4 and 5 is 8 years, right? Didn't 4 come out in 08?
Well, they've been making like Street Fighter 4 Super Turbo.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
4.25.
I was just saying, if this is
Turbo Ultra Mega Man.
I wasn't sure if they hadn't released anything between then and now. I was like, really? Half a game? 2 years?
They've been adding characters to the other ones, adding and making
bunch of DLCs.
Yeah.
DLCs. Damn DLCs.
Oh yeah. So, what I wanted to talk about, Quantum Break. That game was originally announced as being a Xbox One exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
yeah, we're coming back to it, Matt. Eugene has things he wants to say.
The stir about it being now on PC. I think a couple people were kind of lighting up Phil Spencer's Twitter, saying that they're pissed that the game is coming to PC now, and they were promised that it was going to be an Xbox One exclusive. So, what do you guys feel about that?
I wouldn't like. I think Xbox really screws developers when they make them go exclusive with them.
What I think is that I don't mind exclusive titles if it's the developers that want to make it exclusive. If it's the publisher or whatever higher up that wants to make it exclusive, that's when I think it becomes botched in pieces of shit like Rise of the Tomb Raider.
a lot of times when somebody's like, yeah, this is an Xbox One exclusive title, like that doesn't make me want to play it anymore. Like, it doesn't like only I can play it, so yay, because I own this thing. And I think really when you make somebody go exclusive with you, or when you kind of like twist their arm a little bit and say, this is the only way you're going to be able to get your game out there is if you do it with us, I think that just ends up hurting the developers in the long run, because it doesn't let their game get to the whole spectrum of gamers. So if you release it on multi-platforms, if you can do it, and maybe if you can't develop it, but if you can, I think that's just better, because then you make more money, of course, but then you get a wider fan bases, and then maybe you find that, hey, our game works better not on Xbox One but PS4, or maybe it's best on the PC, and you figure out which community likes your game the most, which I think is better long term for developers, because they find where they should make their games, where it's good for them.
Yeah. I think the anger was generated around them telling people that it was going to be a Xbox One exclusive, and all of a sudden now it's on PC. So I can get a better version on PC. So I think people got angry at Phil Spencer, and he replied with something like, "You're angry because other people can now play the game. Like, you probably should just play it if you want to play it." So, yeah,
that dude's so funny.
Yeah.
But
I think that one of the reasons that Xbox is in such a terrible position these days is because of the previous president wanted to go so hard into something new that. And they tried to push so hard with the Kinect and with so many different things because they were pressured that it just kind of screwed them over, because they were so worried about getting something unique and new, becoming an exclusive thing that captivated their demographics.
Yeah, they were definitely.
They honestly tried to push like exclusivity so much, and they tried to push like difference and change and all these things so hard, which they didn't have to do. Like the 360 was a great console, and it worked good. It great. It just was a good console, solid console. They didn't have to do much different making Xbox One. They could have just made it look a little different. Like, they could have released it again and it would have been fine. But they just tried to change so much and push so many things that people didn't want. Fans were very adamant about the things they didn't want. And finally they did cave and take away a lot of the things we didn't want, which in the long run is good. But they just try to they try to get themselves away from everybody else. Like, we want to be different than PS4 or PlayStation. We want to be different than PC. We want to have different things. And I think if they listened to their fans, they would have done better and not gotten hurt so bad and alienated so many of their fan bases by trying to push so much new into their into what they were trying to do.
Yeah, they kind of pulled a Nintendo. Nintendo always tries to innovate. They always do something weird and kind of offbeat. With the Wii U gamepad, that's something that some people are very objective about, and some people really like it. Personally, I like it, but that's besides the point.
The only difference between Nintendo and Xbox is that Nintendo sticks to what they do. They tend to stick to, like, they're just like, whatever, okay, here, sure.
I don't agree with Xbox on this one. With Microsoft,
we've been around.
They've definitely had that audience that really likes the simple, like, you have a controller, you have your powerful console, you have your game. That's the simple type of thing I see with Xbox. And then all of a sudden they add the Kinect. Oh, you must have this Kinect. It definitely.
And then you must check in online every 24 hours, and this game only works on your, and you can't, and it's and dumb, and it's no need for it. There's no need for it.
Back in the days of the 360s, the 360, the only thing that I was aware of that everybody was concerned about is, hey, are we going to be able to play bigger games, better looking games, and games that function more smoothly? As far as what I was aware of, that's the only thing people were concerned about with the next generation of consoles, not this other crap. I'm like,
and in 2016, we're at a point now where games can be made like damn near realistic. Like, they've gotten to the point, they're good enough at what they do where they can make an amazing game that functions almost like it would in life. And I think that these places like Microsoft and Nintendo and Sony are realizing that it's a point now where they have to introduce something different. They need to, like, revitalize the community, because developers are getting so good at what they do that pretty soon maybe the developers will try and make their own console. They might try to break away. Like, somebody like EA Sports might say, hey, we're going to make our EA Sports fuck box, here you go, and you plug it in and all it plays is EA Sports games. Like, they might try to do that because they're so big. They don't need these these publishers anymore. So I think they're trying to secure their footholds in the community. You know, I think that's really what they're trying to do. If I look at it.
Yeah.
I'd
They've
buy
been
that
trying to
console.
change gaming
The
ever
EA
since
fuck
it died
bucks.
in the early '80s. They've been trying to change gaming, and they have been changing gaming.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was changed with the N64 with the analog stick. First, came out on the N64 controller. Then you have the Wiimote, which was a huge success. You know, it sold the most consoles out of that last generation.
Oh yeah, big
so
time.
I think they just kind of wanted some of that money. They wanted some of that casual money. Sadly, they couldn't get it. You know,
that's just the one difference though between Nintendo and the other two, Sony and Xbox or Microsoft rather. But like Nintendo will stick with an idea and they'll release it. I mean, they won't like. That's just what they're gonna do. Where I think Microsoft.
Even if nobody wants it, like the Wii U, nobody wants that fucking console.
All right, Matt.
Actually, I saw the Wii U. It's pretty
we
sick.
know it, but we're sticking with it.
Anyways, though,
I'm proud that I suck.
are we gonna talk about the NX? Because what I'm hearing is that it's like the God's third child console. Like do anything you want.
Except from some of the stuff from the leak.
It's got that 16 gigs of RAM. That 24,000 terabytes of
yeah.
Storage.
We got that wireless HDMI dongle that just will.
Oh yeah.
If that's true, that'd be sick.
That's
and
pretty
what?
awesome.
Dongle.
And the leak said that it was what if the Nintendo 2DS and Samsung had a baby is what they call the NX.
That's what they call the NX portable, like the next handheld. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So and then they were saying on the leak that it like the Bluetooth is so good that
like you can answer calls. You can answer.
Oh yeah, and like text would come up, and the interesting thing is that if the leak is true, I'm interested to see what the OS is going to look like. If it is different, that'd be interesting.
Apparently, they tried to make something where developers could take the PS4 games and the Xbox One games and easily just throw them onto the NX.
Really? Yeah, just through emulation.
Well, yeah, something through like very similar to emulation. And I think they just want to make the operating system very close to the Xbox One and PS4, so they can just take those games, take the code, pretty much, and then just chuck it on there.
That'd be so funny if it does. They're just like, yeah, our console plays those games too, so you don't need that shit anyway. So
well, I think you obviously won't be able to take an Xbox One and put it like in the NX, but
I know, but that'd be so like, that'd be so funny. I see what you're saying. Like they would take the but that'd be so funny though.
That would be pretty.
If you could just take the disc and just like, there you go. It works.
Probably have a couple lawsuits coming in their way as well.
I'm pretty sure that there is some way that they could do something like in some kind of clause or wording where they could be like, hey, you can play anything on this, and then they're just like, wait, what? We didn't know they could play Xbox One games. What?
So I'm wondering why they're releasing a new console so soon. When did the Wii U come out?
Came out in 2012.
Are they just intentionally trying to release them at different times?
I think it's mostly the backlash. Like you said, well, like Matt said, it's kind of it's been very kind of hard for the Wii U. A lot of people have been just hating on the console. I personally really like it. Matt,
I thought it was pretty slick.
Matt's laughing, acting though. He came over to my house. He's playing Smash. He liked it. He likes Smash.
I like the Wii U without the fucking gamepad. And I don't think that it's worth like $300. I think it's a $200, maybe $150 console.
$150? Are you? Okay,
I'm not joking. Okay.
Okay.
Eugene, I want you to answer this question: Is the new 3DS better than the Wii U? Don't you fucking lie.
No.
Don't you fucking lie.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's not. You fucking liar. You dirt liar. You have answered this question before. It is a
yes,
better...
I say
it
has more games on it, definitely. I would admit that.
3DS is hands down one of the best-selling consoles over the past, 10, 15 years?
But Smash Brothers for Wii U is better than Smash Brothers for 3DS.
That's one game! I'm talking about the overall
console. Mario Kart 8 is better than Mario Kart 7.
Another game! Okay, another game. Okay. Alright.
You want to go on with this? Splatoon's better than it. A lot of shooters.
Splatoon sucks! Splatoon is mediocre.
Splatoon's amazing. You want me to pull up this Metacritic score, show you how good it is.
Fuck Metacritic. They're all a bunch of splurgers. Just, oh my god, new Nintendo game. I can't wait to play it.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Got Xenoblade Chronicles X, man.
No, so like, pretty much nothing is really known about Nintendo NX, right? For the most, like.
Well, at
this point, it's mostly speculation. Like, all we know is that the name isn't going to be NX, correct? They released that it's not going to be the final name of the console.
It's we know that it's going to be a brand new concept, so it's not anything to do with the Wii U. So Matt can calm down. Trying to say that the gamepad's trash. Okay, it's not going to be a Wii 3. It's not going to be a Wii U 2.
So they're just dropping that whole thing. They're going to.
They're dropping the Wii branding. It's going to be something completely unique.
That I think is kind of sad because the Wii was an amazing console. I own a Wii. I love my Wii.
I have a Wii too. Yeah, pretty much just like the PS2. Everybody has a Wii. Like everybody has a PS2 and a Wii. It seems like
exactly.
Those two consoles did amazing. I think because you go anywhere, people have a PS2 somewhere in like their attic or some shit. Like everybody has a PS2
in their attic.
Hey, where do you keep your PS2? It's in the attic.
It's in the attic. No, so like. Although I kind of like Nintendo, like I like the name NX. I don't know why they wouldn't. Maybe they have a cooler name.
Well, the NX.
I hope so because when you remember, PlayStation changed the name of Project Morpheus to PlayStation VR.
Yeah, Project
VR.
Morpheus would have been really cool.
NX
that would have been so awesome if they just called it Morpheus.
NX is just a code name, just like the GameCube was called Dolphin. Like the Wii was called Revolution.
Yeah, and then the Kinect. What was that?
Those are all cool names. They should have stuck with all those names. I would have played the Dolphin.
You would have played the Dolphin. Smash Bros. Melee on the Dolphin, right?
On the Dolphin.
Double dash.
Oh yeah, and the Kinect was called Project Natal.
Really? That's really weird. No, but I think overall NX is a kind of a cool name because for Nintendo and then X for like whatever.
Yeah, I would buy a console called the Nintendo NX. That actually alone just sounds really cool.
Oh my gosh! Just because it's called, if it's a Wii U with NX, just called NX, Matt will buy it. You hear here first.
That's because when I think of the name of a console, I don't want to imagine like what a kid thinks a fucking ambulance sounds like when it goes by.
So Matt will buy a Wii U if it was called NX. All right.
That's because I can imagine an announcer on a trailer for the NX going, the next big thing is about to hit the fucking game industry, the Nintendo NX.
And like, there's still a question on how powerful it is, right? Like, people the leak says that it's probably around the Xbox One.
All right, let's go through what we know about this.
I heard it was less than the Xbox One, wasn't it?
First of all,
I heard it was less than PS4 and the same as Xbox One. But let's see. Eugene will talk about it. He knows better than we do.
First of all, we know that this console is being announced this year. They said, we're going to talk about it more in 2016. We know that the NX is around the strength of a PS4 or the Xbox One because Square Enix announced that... what's the game again? Damn it.
We have about 10 minutes left.
Dragon Quest XI is coming to the...
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And that's a PS4 game, so it has to be around that strength. Either in between the PS4 and the Xbox One or above the PS4. We know that this console is going to be... Well, we can infer that it's going to be a handheld console and a home console. We know it's going to be a home console. Reggie Fils-Aimé said last year that it's a home console, and that was when we heard that they're going to talk about it more this year. And of course, there's a lot more leaks, and we can go on about this for a while.
The most interesting thing out of the most interesting thing out of that most recent leak was, in my mind, was the wireless HDMI, which is a good idea because that's a limitation. I mean, like, it's not like a huge issue. Like, I can't plug it in here, but like, it's interesting that that's something that's
definitely the thing that had me interested was the analog sticks that would react to ran into a wall, they kind of push away, or if
which would be interesting.
Shooting a gun, you would feel the recoil in the stick,
like the haptic, the
haptic feedback or whatever. That sounds very interesting.
So they put like motors underneath there that the programs coordinate them with. That's kind of cool, actually. That'd be interesting.
So what I wanted to ask you guys is, like, Matt said, if it's
I'm gonna buy the NX right now, hands down.
Okay.
When it
So
comes out.
apparently Matt's gonna get the NX.
I probably will.
What would you guys like the NX to have? You know, would you like it to be super powerful with 16 gigs of RAM? You know, 2400.
I'll be fine if it has all those other things that you were saying that rivals the Xbox, but has all these other capabilities. Like I don't know, like if they expanded upon what you were saying about how going back to the days where the storage for game data is back onto the game disk or device or format or whatever, like the I don't know, whatever it is. If they had something like that, I would totally love it, because I hate like this no memory, on the Xbox One, because they can't run any fucking games ever or have large games anymore.
Yeah, because that's a big hindrance now, is that games are getting so detailed, the graphics, and it's taking up so much space to get everything to render properly, and it's so just data heavy now that it's hard to find a game coming out now that isn't 30, 40 gigs, which is a lot of space back when games were just kilobytes, right? Kilobytes.
One of the things I remember is that the late Xbox 360 had like really fucking large games for what it was at the time, for what was considered large at the time, without cutscene or without load screens. Now we're back to the days where we have load screens on everything, where like maps are reduced for like you get one smaller map of a larger game with a bunch of small maps.
The issue is now, because this next generation has different architecture in their OSs, they're different, and developers, like right before this came out, Xbox 360, PS3, the developers were at their hype because they had figured out exactly how to utilize the power of every system. Like, we look at Grand Theft Auto 5, that's a huge game for the time. Mm-hmm. That was 16 gigs. You had to download an additional 8 gigs onto your Xbox just to play it. That was a huge game. But, I mean, you play on the 360, it ran pretty flawlessly because they learned how to utilize the power that it had. Now, it's going to take a few years before we really get like great games out of these consoles, because they don't know what they're working with yet. And these two consoles, PS3 or PS4 and Xbox One, are incredibly powerful for being a console, not a PC. They're incredibly powerful, and there's a lot you can do with them. And we've seen just like the tip of what they can do with these new games coming out, and I'm excited to see what's coming out, and especially with the NX coming out, and all of these great new Nintendo games that are going to be coming out soon. It's going to be an interesting time in the gaming community. There's a lot of great games coming out, and the next couple of years, it's just going to be crazy what they can do with once they learn how to properly use these consoles, and really utilize all the power they bring.
Yeah,
exactly.
At this point in time, power is becoming something that people are almost demanding. They feel like every game should be running in 1440p, 60 frames per second.
I want it in 4K! 4K!
No, that's something I actually wanted to touch on, is that I actually feel like the new consoles were released far too early. I think that one of the things I wanted to touch on is that I do think that there's a great hindrance on current consoles. I don't think that they're as powerful, that they're as crisp and beautiful as they need to be. I really do feel like with our current TVs that are being released now, with new digital formats that are being released, I think that for some reason with these current consoles, they slowed down incredibly, and I think that we should be at that age where we should have 4K consoles at this point.
And I think even though they released these kind of just before the 4K really came in, as this next big thing, I still think that they'll be able to figure out a way with what they have to make that work, Just, it's going to, like I said, it'll take time. Yeah, developers need to figure out.
At this point in time, to run a game like Grand Theft Auto 5 even, in 4K, 60 frames per second.
Even that's hard to do.
Yeah, would be super expensive. So what people need to understand is, if you want to buy a $500 console even, you can't really expect games to be in 1440p 60 frames per second.
I have my computer I spent $1,700 on, which is, you can spend $4,000 on. I spent $1,700 to build it, and I doubt I could run any game in 4K, let alone 2K. I can comfortably run 1920 60 frames, and to me that's fine. I don't need the 4K, but even at 4K, you're going to be spending at least $1,200 on your graphics card alone just to run that. Like, you're going to be spending, money isn't an issue, because just to that sort of resolution, that detail in every pixel is so hard to get and to render properly. And it's just like we're at this point now where we're reaching a limit as to what we can do with the technology that we have. We don't have anything strong enough yet. Like we're kind of hitting the wall. We're getting really close to where we can't get any better, you know.
Yeah, and that's what I really feel is that from where I actually work, one of the things that we're coming to understand is that 4K. Samsung just actually released like a week ago the first ever 4K Blu-ray player, and the word is, and this has been speculated for a while, that 4K is going to be the final high definition or even the highest format that we can ever get any kind of video in. And that's because it's at that max as to what our eyes can actually visualize. So, even if we can't do it right now, maybe 5 to 10 years from now, we're going to have consoles that are going to be able to be cheap enough and have that technology to have 4K, and that's all that we're ever going to get.
That's the thing is now the technology to do that is incredibly expensive. I mean, if we wanted to have a 4K console, you're probably spending like $2,000 on it, and nobody's going to want to spend $2,000. Even at the current prices, where we're at like $400, $300, maybe $500 soon here, even people don't want to spend that much. They think that's too much to spend. So we're at a point now where we're going to need to figure out how to do it differently. But yeah, I'll end my tangent. I'll end my tangent about technology. I think we got to wrap it up here.
I think games are looking really good. Games
looking great.
Yes, it is. Yep.
On the PS4, they're running in 1080p, and on the Xbox One, they might be running in a lower resolution, but they're still looking really good. I think what we need to focus on with our games is to get them working, better.
Yeah, and honestly, what we really need with games is better storylines, better content, less DLC, and stupid add-ons. We just give me the whole damn game.
There you go.
And write a good story. I don't give a shit. Like, multiplayer is nice, but give me a good story.
That's exactly what I want.
We need more compelling stories.
I never even played.
If you release another Battlefront game with a story in it, that would be amazing. That would be
like a good story.
Add a DLC. Add a DLC for.
I have a love-hate relationship with EA. I mean, I felt that they could have done better with Mass Effect 3 and Dead Space 3. Oh my god. Anyway. Not going to talk about EA during this episode, but thank you all for watching our first podcast in the first in a few months, our episode 7 podcast of Beat Brigade Gamers Podcast. Don't forget, we have a lot of content coming out to our channel soon. We have like a show or two coming from Mitch. We have our underappreciated movies series, and we're going to be releasing new episodes for that, I believe, starting either this Friday or the next Friday. We also have our short film being released on March 18th. If you haven't seen the teaser trailer for that, be sure to check that out on our channel or on AceTechHD's channel. And, well, there we go.
All right. Yeah. Been the Beat Brigade Gamers Podcast number 7. We'll see you guys later.
Thank you, guys. Check out my favorite 2 videos. Check out our trailer. We love you. I love you. I love you.
Yep.
I love you.